Well, Goldstone does say that Israel used disproportionate force to punish, humiliate, and terrorize the civilian population of Gaza. So if you prefer if I call it a terroristic war than a massacre, I'll acquiesce, and henceforth I'll refer to it as the terroristic war.
But Goldstone doesn't use the word terroristic. I asked you a question.
I think I just said, let me repeat, maybe you didn't hear me.
Okay.
Goldstone said Israel used disproportionate force to punish, humiliate, and terrorize the civilian population.
Okay.
Now, in order to terrorize a civilian population, you have to use terroristic force. Otherwise, you can't terrorize them.
Okay.
Now, how many thousands of rockets must Israelis take from the Palestinians before they react? They do have the right to defend themselves.
The man over here who's defending Israel, I don't agree, but at the same time, he does have a right to voice his questions. And I just want to say that it's very interesting because I know what it feels like to be in the minority perspective, and it's very funny to see the tides turn the other way on this issue. And I want to say that if he doesn't have the chance to ask those questions and receive answers, he's not going to be able to learn anything on this issue. And I think it's really important to respect the opportunity for that dialogue. So I just wanted to bring that up. Oh, I completely agree with you. And like I said, I don't agree with his stance at all. But what I'm saying is that, I know that when I'm speaking to somebody that does not agree with me on an issue, and especially with this issue, I'm Jewish, and I've been to the occupied, I went to the West Bank, I spent a month there, and I know speaking with members of my family and with other Jewish people that, do still support Israel, that, they can reach a point where they will open their minds, but you really have to have that patience. So it's very important to have that dialogue.
Well, with your initial comment, I completely agree. There are grounds for raising the issue of whether there was mutual respect shown, but on the other hand, I do think we should feel confident that the facts are on our side, truth is on our side, justice is on our side, and that if we just very calmly and patiently go through the record, that we can win. It's not easy, but I think we should try to be as patient as possible. I was reading the last volume of Gandhi's works for 1947, and all of his hopes are just being destroyed. He thought that Indians were committed to nonviolence. 30 years he invested in it, and then the British are leaving, and India erupts into this vast, ghastly, intercommunal bloodletting. And tens of thousands are killing each other each day in the streets of India. And Mr. Gandhi is very adamant. He wants that Hindu-Muslim unity. And he goes from Hindu temple to Hindu temple, and he begins every prayer service, he begins with a passage from the Quran. And it's enraging the Hindu fundamentalists. How dare you, in a Hindu temple, to be reading passages from the Quran? And Gandhi would begin each prayer service by saying, is there anyone in this room who objects to me reading from the Quran? And the first few prayer services, 2 or 3 Hindu fanatics raise their hand. He says, if you object, okay, I'm just going to leave. And then after around a few weeks, he decides, well, that's not really fair to the rest of the people who've come. And he says, okay, if you object, then let's talk about it. And 2 or 3 people in an audience of thousands, literally thousands who came to hear him, he would just spend the whole night very patiently going through it with them, 8 and 10 hours, just going through with them why, and remember, Gandhi's already 78 years old, why it's right for him to be reading from the Quran in a Hindu prayer service. I read that, I'll tell you, my eyes were glued to each word on the page because I was trying to learn from it, because I know we have encounters like this, and how do you handle it? It's not just a question of believing in nonviolence, it's a question of trying to win, you know, trying to achieve the victory that we're aiming towards. By the end of his, by the end of these meetings, it was the stuff out of a drama. They're killing each other in Calcutta. 10,000 people killed in 1 week in this intercommunal bloodletting. And finally Gandhi says he would come into the neighborhoods where the Muslims lived and they were trying to throw them out, ethnically cleanse them. And he would stay with them. And he finally said, if you don't stop, speaking to all of Calcutta, I'm going to starve myself to death. It's as simple as that. And he had so much moral force, they actually stopped. He achieved peace in Calcutta. And then he was wanted elsewhere, and the Muslims were asking him, would you please go there, because there's going to be another bloodbath there. No, the Hindus were asking him to please go to this city because there's a bloodbath there. And Gandhi said, I'll only go under one condition. And the condition is, you have to promise, if the bloodletting starts again, you're going to go right into the middle of it and get yourself killed. That's it. You have to say, I'm willing, I'm going to get myself killed. And these folks are saying, well, no, Gandhi, that's kind of asking us a lot, to do a lot. He said, then I'm not going to leave. And then finally, at the end, they agreed. We'll get ourselves killed. We'll do exactly what you say. So that's a counsel for patience and courage. And there's a lot to learn there, because I think he accomplished a lot in his person.